Okay, let's continue here today with hooking everything up. We've got all our header pins are soldered to the board. This wire here is our ESC signal wire, which is connected to our signal 1 pad, or our servo 1 pad, I guess, would be the more appropriate way to describe that. So let's just start plugging everything in here. That is the power going into our speed controller. This right here gets connected like that, and that's our signal wire going off to our ESC. That signal wire is connected to the servo 1 pad, which we're going to configure in Mission Planner here. This is our extender. This allows us to talk to our computer with a USB-C type connector that gets plugged in right there. Let's go ahead, we're going to add our Spectrum receiver. I'll show you how we set that up, how we're going to bind that today. We can refer to our diagram here. This is our Spectrum receiver right here, and our positive and negative and positive are right here on the end of the board. So we're going to plug that in like that. And then our signal wire for our Spectrum receiver, which is our right here, that is actually going to get connected to TX2. So let's connect that to TX2. TX2 is this one right there. The 1, 2, 3, fourth pin down, 1, 2, 3, skip 1. That one that we skipped is the RX2, so that's connected to the TX2 pin there. Let's see here. Next, we got our GPS and our airspeed indicator. Our GPS and our airspeed sensor are sharing both positive and negative. And then this one is the yellow is our RX from the GPS, and the purple is, what is purple here? Purple is our TX. So anyway, if we refer back again, that's why I like doing these wiring diagrams. We can see that we planned our positive right here and our negative right here. RX4 and TX4 is what we're going to connect our, let's see, RX4 is going to our GPS, TX4 is going to our GPS. So this will get plugged in right there like that. Now we just got to hook up our airspeed sensor here, and that's going to go on the pads right next to it. And again, if we look here, we got the first 1, 2, 3, 4 are occupied. So that's going to be our SCL, which is our clock. Our SDA is our data, and then our ground. And we've got those laid out: ground, SDA, and SDL, or SCL, I should say. And those are going to go on the next 3 pins. That one pin needed to be tweaked a little bit. So there, we are connected. I know this wiring looks like a little bit of a mess, but we'll straighten it out once we get it all connected onto the airplane. So there we have it. Everything's connected. Let's go ahead. Oh, you know what? I'm going to plug this in too. On here, S4 is going to be our ailerons, and S6 is going to be our elevator. So S4 is going to be our ailerons, and then our voltage and our ground. S6 is going to be our elevator and our voltage and our ground. So I'll plug that in right like that. right there, and we won't worry about the ailerons just yet. Let's get this plugged into our mission planner, and let me start recording here on my screen. So let me start recording here. Okay, so I'm recording. I've got the buzzer turned off. I'm going to plug in. And I'm going to come over here to Mission Planner. And we're connected at COM 13. It says RD Pilot, COM 13. So I'm just going to connect. Okay, and now we are connected, and we know we're connected because as I move the flight controller, it's actually responding. And you might even notice our airspeed, if I cover the input, the P static for the airspeed indicator, you see it rises there. Anyway, so it appears so far everything's working. My Spectrum receiver, I'm going to put in bind mode, so I'm just going to press and hold. And it goes into binding mode there because it's blinking. I've already got my controller turned on here. So let's see, I'm going to create a new model. Let's go up here. And I'm going to create a new model. Add a new model. I'm going to call it airplane. I'm going to call it UAV Bennett 2 because we already have. We'll create a new model. It's going to take a second here. Our receiver is still in bind mode there. You can see the blinking light. I really like these new Spectrum antennaless receivers. So let's scroll down. There's our new bird right there, acro. Let's get rid of that word, acro. And let's call this one UAV Bennett 2. Go back, go back. All right, we're going to bind this on the Spectrum on this IX12. Press and hold bind. It's going into bind mode. Let's talk to the receiver. And it says we've been successfully bound. All right, that's part one of doing this here. Let's go over here into the setup. Compass, we'll come back to compass calibration. Radio calibration. If you notice right now, nothing is working. So we have to set some protocols here based on the RD Pilot mapping. And this is a piece of paper here. I just printed the mapping, but I'll bring it up here on the computer too. Let me bring up the RD Pilot mapping. So there is the RD Pilot mapping. And if you notice on here, we've got to change some configurations. We've got to make board alternate config 1, and we've got to make the serial 6 underscore protocol 23, and then we've got to change the serial 6 options to 0, 4, and actually we're going to change the serial 6 options to 4 for SRXL2 because that's the type of receiver I'm using. So let's go ahead and do that now. So let's go back to our mission planner here. And we are going to go over to the full parameter list, which is right there. And mine already has the parameters saved over here as my favorites, so it automatically comes up. So what we need to do is the board alt configuration. Board alt configuration, we need to change that to 1. So I'm just going to click on here and make that a 1. And then the next thing we got to do, we got to change the board config 1. We got to go serial 6 protocol to 23. So I'm going to scroll down here. And if you wanted to find that protocol, you could go serial 6 underscore and search it over there. And it'll come up. So serial 6 protocol, we need to set that serial 6 protocol to 23. Enter that. And then you also notice serial 6 options came up, and that's another one that we have to change. The serial 6 options we have to change to 4. So we're going to change that to 4, which is half duplex, I think, but let's see. So that one's changed. Yeah, and it's half duplex. So serial 6 is the half duplex, and you can see that changed. Serial 6 baud, I think we can just leave that at 57, which is 57,600. All right, so we're going to come over here now, and we're going to write the parameters to the board. And now let's go back to setup. And let's see, do we have any control yet? Nope, because I think what I'm going to have to do is I have to do a restart. So I'm going to disconnect here. I'm going to unpower the board. I'll repower the board. And we'll connect here. And I'm doing this real time so you can see mistakes that I might make. So that now you see, since we restarted, we're getting control back. So something else I'm going to do here. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 3. Well, I'm going to stick with this one because this is the one that we've been using. So this is going to be the G switch. All right, so I'll go in here and model adjust. Oh, actually, we want to go model setup and channel assign. And I'm going to make channel number 8 my G switch. So that's all I did was go in here, I selected channel 8, and I assigned that to this switch right here. Go back, back. All right. Yep, and now radio channel 8's responding. So let's go ahead and calibrate the radio. Ensure your transmitter is on and receiver is power and connected. Ensure that your motor does not have power and no props. So obviously we don't even have a motor connected. I'm going to click OK. I'm just going to start with our throttle and just exercise it up and down. Actually, click OK and move all RC sticks. Okay, now we're going to move our sticks all over, right to left. Our pitch up and down. Make sure everything gets calibrated here. Our number 8 switch, and I'm just going to go through all the switches. and we can always change this later. The most important one right now is just going to be this number 8 switch, because that is going to be the switch that we will be using for our modes, and we're only going to start with 3 modes to start with. So looks like we are done. Let me see if any need to be reversed. Roll, I'm going to say needs to be reversed. And there we make a right turn, left turn. Let's see, our pitch looks appropriate, throttle's appropriate, and our yaw looks like it needs to be reversed. All right, so I am going to click when done. All right, so now we've got our calibration is done, radio calibration. Our servo outputs. All right, let's check on here now. Servo 1, we actually want to be throttle. S1, we want to be throttle. Scroll down here, look for the throttle. There's throttle. And that will not respond because we're not armed. If you remember on our map here, we said S4 was going to be our aileron. So we're going to change this one to aileron. Elevator, rudder, there's aileron here. Too many options. Ignition, throttle, did I go by it? Probably did. I did go right by it. Let's see, where's aileron at here? Elevator, rudder, come on, where's aileron? Oh, there it is, right up top there. All right, that one's aileron. And then our S6, we said was going to be assigned to our elevator. So S6, which is this one here, we're going to make that our elevator. So we got throttle, this one, we're going to set to disabled because we don't have a S2. So we'll just set it to disabled. S3. S4 is going to be our aileron. So look at that, I set the wrong one to aileron. We're going to disable S3. This one we're going to set the S4, we're going to set the aileron. And then 5 is disabled. And then 6 is going to be our elevator. So obviously right now throttle won't respond. Our aileron is responding, and so is our elevator. So we're mapped, our servos are mapped there. And like I said, the only reason why our throttle will not respond is because we're in a disarmed state right now. So what I mean by that is, take a look here. If we look at our, see how we're disarmed right now? So let's see if we can arm it yet. I don't think, no, I won't be able to arm until I have a battery. So let's go, anyway, back to configuration here. Flight modes. All right. Remember earlier I said we're going to set up 3 flight modes. The first flight mode I like is to just have it on manual. And for the maiden here, flight mode 2, or flight mode 4, but the second position of my switch, I am going to set that to auto tune. And that's how we're going to tune the flight controller. And then this one up here, we are going to set to stabilize. So that's the way I like to fly it. The first time we go fly it, we'll fly it in manual, we'll get it all trimmed. I might even land it, reset some servos, and then we'll fly auto tune. These ones, let's see, I'll just disable these if I can. I'll just put it manual because we're not using those. Later I'll mix some switches When I mix some switches, we'll be able to get 6 flight modes. So right now we got manual, auto tune, and stabilized. On the basic tuning here, the only thing that I'm going to change is the cruise throttle percentage. I'm going to bring that up to like 65%. And then throttle max, I'm going to bring that down. The max throttle we really need on this model is about 85%. And the slew rate, I'll bring that down just a little bit so it's nice and smooth when it brings the throttle up. I'll set it at like 80 to start. Airspeeds I'm not going to worry about yet. Airspeeds we'll get later. I know we have an airspeed sensor hooked up to the, we have an airspeed sensor hooked up to this, but we're going to get that later. You'll see where that comes into play when we add the airspeed indicator. Right now, I think that is all I need to set up. We're mapped TX1 to RX1, TX3, RX3, TX5, RX5, TX4. All right, so the next thing is we're going to install this all into, actually, you know what? Let's put a battery on it. And then let's do the, so I just plugged in a battery here. And you can see our elevator is actually responding right now. And let's see if we can get it to arm. I forget if I had this in. There we go. We got our beeper on. Now let's see if this will arm. I don't know if it'll arm without the actual motor attached. Nope, won't arm. And if we go back here to data, oh yeah, GPS no fix. So it will not allow us to arm it with the GPS waiting for home. I think if I come down here to, let's see, servo relay, telemetry logs, so wait, status, pre-flight. Oh, actions, I can manually disarm it. Do you wish to force arm? So now it's armed. We got that beep telling us it's armed. And if we come back here to the servos, you'll see now the throttle responds. Oh. Interesting, not responding. Maybe because there's no motor actually attached. But anyway, next let's get this all installed in the airplane here. We'll disarm. Anyway, so that's the basic setup, and let's get stuff installed in the airplane here and we'll continue.